Bim, guess what? We're live. It's 8 o'clock and it is a Friday. That can only mean one thing. It's time for What a Week That Was, with me, where I discuss the week's news, hopefully lightheartedly. Obviously there's some serious subjects to cover as well, but we try and do it as lightheartedly as we can. Also available on a podcast. Apparently I'm online, my phone's just told me, which is very helpful. I don't know why it tells me I'm online when it's my own blinking account. But anyway, we're live and we are going to talk about the news. LONE, indeed. I'm fresh with my in my tummy the old chicken skewers which I cooked earlier and put the video up for. Very tasty they were too. Anyway, I digress. First subject. Oh, hiya JT. Hope you're well as well. So yeah, we're getting people in. Don't forget, if you want to join in the chat, then join us when it's live. More people watch this when it's not live than when it's live. So try and join us when it's live. GMT from now on, it will be 8 o'clock GMT on a Friday, as in 2000 hours. Because I know Americans might think I do this at 8 o'clock in the morning. No, I ain't got no time for that. So we are talking about the important things of the week. And somewhat weirdly, Doctor Who kind of ties in with a lot of the stuff that's gone on this week. Spoiler alert, I will be talking about the last episode of Doctor Who to be broadcast, which was only on Sunday or Friday or Saturday, whenever it was. So spoilers, if you've not watched it, maybe skip forward 5 or 10 minutes, and that way you will miss me talking about Doctor Who. You're not a fan of Doctor Who, don't worry, normal news will be resumed. But basically Doctor Who is famous for regenerating. People said, oh, he's regenerated as a woman last time when Jodie Whittaker took over, and I'm like, well, technically he's not a he, he's an alien, so he can regenerate as anything. We could have Doctor Who the dog, but that's for another day, another story. So yeah, we had the episode, which was on for quite a while, to be fair, and full of loads of special effects and everything, but it was the last one to be written by Chris Chibnall. Hopefully now Russell T Davies has got it back, it will get better than it has been of late. Usual suspects were in it. We have the Cybermen, the Daleks, and of course the Master. Now the Master is currently played by the gentleman in the picture, which is the Asian guy. Sadly I don't know his name because I forgot to look it up, oops. But I kind of miss Missy. I thought Missy was the best Master ever, apart from obviously the original one back in the day. But Missy was so good, and this guy, he does his best, but it's not the same. So who knows, we may get a new Master. Of course, if you look what happened at the end of the episode of Doctor Who, that could be the case. Anyway, we digress. So Doctor Who, it was all this big hurrah. It's Jodie Whittaker's last appearance as the Doctor, but we know that may not be true because they do have a tendency of coming back, as we found out in this episode, when a lot of old Doctors reappeared, including a dead one, which kind of surprised me a little bit, but obviously no, it was played by the actor who played him in the TV remake of the drama of the documentary of the making of the first Doctor Who. But anyway, convoluted. It all goes peak tongue for the Doctor, as it generally does when they're about to regenerate, and she began the process of regeneration, which again is not unusual. It happens a lot. It's happened about 14-15 times, not all of them on screen. We've had a few Doctors that have been and gone and they've not actually appeared on screen, including one who hasn't actually appeared anywhere, is a future Doctor. Anyway, this is where the spoiler is. Hey, well done, Smiley Mac. Got the notification. So this is the spoiler. So if you do not want to know the spoiler of Doctor Who, then just fast forward for a couple of minutes, and we will carry on with the regular. So big ending. All the companions left the Doctor on their own to do the regeneration, which in itself is a bit unusual. And when Jodie Whittaker went like they do, and all the flames and everything coming out, her clothes changed as well. And I thought, whoa, hey, no, we've got no time for that. What's going on there? Why are the clothes changing? And it ended up being Mr. Tennant. Mr. Tennant is the new Doctor Who, but he's an old Doctor Who. So he's come back many years after leaving the role as the Doctor. And I'm like, whoa, why are we doing this? Because it's a time travel program. We could easily have Tennant doing episodes of Doctor Who where he's either in the alternate universe that he ended up in, or in between stories that we've seen on TV. We don't need, it's time travel. Or he could just time travel into, or whatever. It just seemed a bizarre thing to do. So we've now got the new Doctor, and a lot of people have been telling me, oh yeah, it's brilliant because, you know, he's my favourite Doctor. And I can see why. He was, you know, he was pretty cool at the time. I mean, all the new Doctors, to be fair, have been good. I've liked them all. I wasn't a big fan of some of the older Doctors, but the Doctor I grew up with, and will always be the Doctor for me, was a certain John Pertwee, who was the third Doctor, and that was when I started watching Doctor Who to a bit, and has given me my bizarre fear of, pardon me, spiders, because of the really crappy spider one that they did. I think it was his last one actually, where he goes stupid voice thing, and I was little, and to this day I can't stand spiders, and I could only put it down to Doctor Who because we had an outside toilet and everything. But everyone's got their own Doctor, you know. Some people will be Tom Baker, some people will be Davidson or whatever. But we've now got Tennant back, and apparently they're bringing back his companion as well. And I'm like, well, hang on a minute. When she left, she got a brain swipe thing where everything was wiped out of her brain. So how is she going to be able to come back when she's been, unless he goes to her, but she can't remember anything, so everything's going to be new to her again, like a goldfish. So, but Tennant's got it. Apparently they're going to do 3 episodes, and then next year, the guy who I was expecting to be Doctor Who at this moment will become Doctor Who. And the irony is, of course, that the number of Doctor Who's we've had has been quite intense. Who am I in the way of? It's the wrong way. Oh, let's go that way. There you go. The War Doctor. So we've got all the Doctors there mixed up. And that includes all the Doctors. So we've got the Doctor who did the movie, which is two down, 2 across. We've got the Doctor that hasn't been a Doctor yet, or certainly hasn't been transformed into a Doctor, which will probably be the next one, which is the next one along, next to Jodie Whittaker. But I liked most of these Doctors. I wasn't a big fan of Baker. Actually, oh yeah, there he is. Baker and Baker. Christopher Eccleston got me into Doctor Who. Well, he would do, because that's when it come back, and that's when it was gritty. When, yeah, of course he was. Yeah, let's say we're all different ages. You know, I know people who, the first Doctor, who is bottom row, second from the left, when he started, and you know, they'd never seen anything like it before. And to be fair, when you watch TV, Doctor Who is unlike anything else that's ever been on TV before anyway. But say mine is top right, John Pertwee, and I kind of watched a little bit of Tom Baker, but I don't know, I just couldn't get into it, so I kind of moved on. And then I never watched anymore, so Sylvester McCoy, Davidson, the other Baker, never watched them. And then when the new Doctor Who started with Christopher Eccleston, it was like, well, you know, I didn't watch it when I was a kid, so I'm not going to watch it now. And I didn't bother. So I think the first series went by completely, and then the second series started sometime later with Tennant, and then yeah, the mannequin things. But they'd been in an earlier Doctor Who. In fact, I had a statue. Well, show you how much of a Doctor Who fan I am. On my desk here, I've got a Dalek, and we've got Cyberman as well. But I also had, although I give it away to a massive Doctor Who fan who comes into the shop, what was reportedly a prop for the first series of Doctor Who, or one of the first series of Doctor Who, where the mannequins first came along, which was the hand with the fingers chopped off and then a gun sticking out of it. But obviously it wasn't a real hand, it was plastic. I mean, it wasn't a stick or anything. And then they brought them back for the first episode of the first relaunch with Russell T Davies as Doctor Who and Christopher Eccleston. But I caught about 20 minutes of one of the Tennant ones, and I thought, whoa, this is actually quite good. So then I watched the next one, and the next one, and then I got back into it again. And then eventually, with catch-up and repeats, I did catch Christopher Eccleston's attempt. What I liked about it was the fact that they kind of updated it all. But now, I think they went a bit too far with Jodie Whittaker, not because she was a woman, just the script writing went a bit off. But now we've got Russell T Davies back, and you're like, things are going to be good. And I predict brighter days ahead for Doctor Who. Hello Boris, hope you're well. I know you've got a lot of time on your hands these days. Sorry about your lack of getting in to 10 Downing Street earlier on this week, but you know, who happens. So yeah, all that has been going on with Doctor Who, and it kind of, when life imitates art, but more of that later. What else has been going on this week? Why are they all mixed in there? That doesn't make sense. What's been going on? What's been going on? Why is that there when it shouldn't be there? That should be somewhere else. I did get Rishi in. It was a perfect plan. Oh yeah, Rishi. Yeah, your favourite. Everyone likes a bit of Rishi. We've had some breaking news this week. Jerry Lee Lewis, the original rock and roller, has sadly passed away at the age of 86, which, let's be honest, is a good age. And he had a very hell-raising active life, and was still performing up to fairly recently, apparently. Although he does look like one of the Beach Boys in that picture. But anyway, yeah, sadly he's passed away. Now, here we go. News. On Saturday of last week, China, one of our favourite countries, had their big congress that they have, where they have everyone there and all the important people and all the people just clap and all that kind of stuff. And their previous leader, before the current guy, was escorted out. Basically, two guys come up, picked him up off his chair and kind of escorted him out. And it was like, whoa, this is a bit unusual. It was a bit like, I don't know, the Tories escorting Boris Johnson out of number 10. And Liz Truss, almost simultaneously. But yeah, it was a very odd thing, because normally they keep everything kind of under wraps and everything. Talking of Boris, hi Boris. He flew back from his holiday, looking, well, like he'd not been on holiday. To be fair, looked like he'd been on the moors in Scotland or somewhere. Anyway, he come back on his holiday because he sniffed a chance of becoming Prime Minister again. Now, bearing in mind, he'd only been kicked out less than 2 months earlier. It is you. And he decided that he'd come back and he'd have a go at getting the 100 members of the MPs in the Tory party to actually endorse him and get him to get into the race for the leader. There was him, there was Penny, and there was Rishi. Now, only Penny at this point had actually said that she wanted to put herself forward. Rishi hadn't, but rumours were he'd already got the numbers. You missed the Doctor Who chat, yes, with your Dalek little icon thing. Very good. I can do that as well, he says. See if it works on what it's going to work or not. No, it's 2. No, it's not working. But yeah, there you go. So, yeah, Boris was ringing round trying to get support for himself to become the next regenerated, as he was previously, Prime Minister. I.e., he tried to do a David Tennant, even before Tennant had been announced at doing it. If it's someone I was talking about very recently, or talking to very recently on a social media app, then I would think I know who it is. So Boris was putting his getting his phone number, ringing up all his friends, his little black book and everything. Sadly, a lot of them were his exes who didn't want to support him in any way because he wasn't supporting them. Rishi on Sunday decided to put himself forward. Excellent. He put himself forward and decided to become... You can rewind this, so you can watch it from the beginning if you want, Master Beef. You might want to do that if you want to watch the Doctor Who bit. Although I will go on it again, but it'll be in an hour and a bit. So Rishi put himself forward on Sunday, and we already knew that he had the support. Now I said, it's on here, it's on What a Week That Was, it's in the newspaper, it's on everything, all my social media and everything, that he should have been Prime Minister when Boris left, because he's competent. He screwed up with the tax thing with his wife, but other than that, he knows what he's doing. He's got a brain. And Liz Truss, well, you know. Anyway, put himself forward. Meanwhile, getting a third term, which is Xi Jinping, whatever he's called, gets third term as the leader of the Chinese Federation. Now, bearing in mind that you're only allowed to do two, he is doing a Putin, as in becoming there. He's going to be there for life. And I always thought he was quite mild-mannered, but he's actually he's coming across now as being a bit dangerous, because he's basically saying that he thinks that the Taiwan situation possibly could only be resolved by invasion. And I'm like, well, you can't invade what you think is your own country anyway, but let's go with that, shall we? Anyway, Boris, sadly, sorry Boris, although he's got a thumbs up there with a right miserable face on, he doesn't get the right number of people, or if he does, he decides against standing as a contender for the prime ministerial position that's available. So he doesn't pull out of the competition, he doesn't go into the competition. So it leaves things wide open. And many people were happy about that. I mean, I wasn't bothered either way, but a certain BBC newsreader was beside herself with joy over this, and then got suspended because you have to be impartial, which I thought was a bit OTT. They've got to be able to show emotion. The Chinese Prime Minister banned Winnie the Pooh because people always made fun of him, saying that's what he looks like. Indeed. Although it looks like, well, anyway. Yeah, this lady is no longer reading the news on the BBC, unless she's been reimposed again. But yeah, she showed too much excitement, which left two in the race, Rishi Sunak and Penny Mordaunt. Now, Penny was allegedly struggling to get the numbers. You need 100 MPs to support you. By this point, Rishi was getting on for 200, if not over 200, and there's only 300 odd MPs. So she was desperately looking around, trying to pick up some of the Boris Johnson supporters and all that kind of thing. But by the time the following day came, which was Monday, I hope you're keeping up with this, you had to declare yourself as the MP, not as an MP, as a contender, and prove that you've got the number of MPs, i.e. 100, by 2 PM on Monday. At 2 minutes to 2 PM on Monday, Penny Mordaunt withdrew herself from the race. So basically, she didn't get enough support from the MPs. Now, bearing in mind she come third in the election where Liz Truss won, then it was hardly surprising. So we went to the committee room that they have in the House of Parliament, and instead of reading out the nominees and also the number of MPs who were backing them, basically they crowned Rishi as the new leader of the Tory party, but he was not the Prime Minister. Liz Truss at this point is still the Prime Minister. You can only become Prime Minister when you've actually spoken to the King, having the previous Prime Minister resign directly to the King, and then the King asks you to form a government, and at that point you become Prime Minister. Now that was not going to happen on Monday because the Prime Minister was not in London, so it was going to happen on Tuesday. Never mind, it didn't stop the celebrations. So at Conservative headquarters, Rishi got a rapturous round of applause from all his MPs and supporters and workers and whatnot on the steps of the official Conservative Party headquarters. And he also blanked, which I thought was brilliant. I don't know if anyone else picked up on it or not. I can't remember his name now, but one of the really irritating, I think it was the former health secretary guy. It was clapping at the front very, happily as Rishi walks out the car, and then walks up to the people and starts shaking their hands. But deliberately, this guy kind of edges round to shake his hand. Rishi walks past him and shakes the other person right next to him, and then goes across. And I'm like, whoa, you've just been blanked, mate. But that was Tuesday night. There was a little crappy speech that he did, and then on Monday night, sorry, and then on Tuesday morning, Liz Truss came out with her family. I didn't even know she had kids, I'll be honest with you. Be fair, before she even became Prime Minister, I didn't even know she was married. Anyway, she did her speech about how well she'd done in the 14 and a half hours that she'd been Prime Minister, the shortest Prime Minister in history. She then went to the King, the brand new King, and resigned, which is his first resignation of a Prime Minister. And then Rishi went, and they know each other well. These two gentlemen know each other well. So we've got the brand new King and the brand new Prime Minister. Oh, you're all right, Angela. It's fine. We're having fun, and everything is hunky dory. They're shaking hands. There's no more oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, and anything like that. So yeah, we've now got a new Prime Minister. So what happens? Well, not a lot initially, because, well, he hasn't got a cabinet. So what he has to do is he has to come back and talk to the press and do a speech, which I thought was really good, I'll be honest with you. Like I said before, this guy's got a brain, he knows what he's doing, and I think, yeah, okay, I nicknamed him in the paper, I call him Rishi Rich, because, well, he's rich, but it's not his wealth. He's practically a self-made millionaire, and he married into money. So he's kind of worked hard to get where he is in that respect. He's obviously worked hard as a politician as well, and during COVID and other crises when he was Chancellor of the Exchequer, he seemed to be competent. So I'm quite happy that he's Prime Minister. India are leaping on it because he's the first Indian Prime Minister. Well, technically he's not. He's an English Prime Minister from Indian heritage, but I get where they're coming from. He's certainly the first Hindu, practicing Hindu. But again, all that's irrelevant. I don't care who they are. It literally could be Mr. Blobby. As long as they do the job right, who cares? So, fingers crossed, he's going to do well. That's good. That he's so rich because he might not be able to be bought as easy. No, that's true. It looks like Sacha Darwin, who plays the Master in Doctor Who. I can never unsee it. There is a bit of that, and there is a couple of memes around like that. But yeah, it is unfortunate. His youngest Prime Minister as well for 200 years. I think he's only 42. Oh, he's a baby. So anyway, he come up with this new cabinet. Now this could be interesting because I don't know how big this image is. There we go. And his new cabinet comprises of lots of people who we know because they've been around before. So Dominic Raab is the Deputy Prime Minister, Jeremy Hunt stays as Chancellor, James Cleverly is the Foreign Secretary. Now, Stella, this is a controversy, the Home Secretary. Now, she resigned a week ago, last week because she sent an email on her personal email that should have been sent on her government email. So she said she'd done wrong, so she resigned. And then she did a letter where off it was saying, I did wrong, I shouldn't have done that, I should have known better, I apologise, I resign. And then just laid into Liz Truss for the next half of the letter about trustworthy, not knowing when your time's up and all this kind of stuff. And now she's back. Now, I don't know why she's back, but again, if she does a decent job, that's fine. But it is a bit worrying that he's took her back in. But everything else is okay. So Ben Wallace remains Defence Secretary, which is good because obviously we're dealing with Russia and Ukraine at the moment. Oliver Dowden is the Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, no idea what that means. Michael Gove, the most interesting man in politics, is the Levelling Up Secretary, which is where he was previously, so again, that might be quite good. Grant Shapps is the Business Secretary, and then we've got a new International Trade Secretary, Work and Pensions Secretary, Paymaster General, Health Secretary, Education Secretary. Theresa Coffey has moved to Environment Secretary, which is probably better than Health, bearing in mind she likes a cigar and a beer. And then we've got a new Transport Secretary, Secretary of State for Northern Ireland, which of course we're coming on to later on. Secretary of State for Scotland and Wales, two separate people. Leader of the Commons, which is Penny Mordaunt. Now Penny Mordaunt apparently is fuming that she is staying in the job that she had previously. She wanted to be in a better job, but there you go, what can you do? And then you've got the Leader of the Lords, Culture Secretary. Nazim Zawali is the Minister without portfolio and the party chairman, which I don't understand what a Minister without portfolio means, whether it means you can just kind of, you know, if someone's off on holiday, just go in and join them. And then you've got the Chief Whip, Chief Secretary to the Treasury, Attorney General, and these are probably off your screen. Minister without portfolio, which is Gavin Williamson. Oh my God, Gavin Williamson's back. He's the Education Secretary, was rubbish. But he's got no portfolio, so he's probably going to be okay. Minister for Veterans Affairs, which we've not had before. Minister for Immigration, which we need to talk about as well. Minister for Development, and Minister for Security. So all them are the new cabinet. And one of the first things he did when he went to PMQs, apart from actually stand up to, I have to admit, an improving Sir Keir Starmer. Sir Keir Starmer isn't much of a wet lettuce anymore. I think because I've been described as a wet lettuce, and then a lettuce beats Liz Truss for her premiership, he's probably thinking, I don't want to be a wet lettuce anymore. So he's now trying to be a proper politician. And he seemed to be a little bit better at PMQs this week than what he has been ever. But he still got put down by Rishi. So what Rishi said was, when asked by the Green Party about fracking, that the ban that had been lifted by Liz Truss on fracking was now reintroduced again by Rishi. So basically fracking is banned again. Again, I'm not convinced about that because I think we sooner have fracking than no electricity. But anyway, he's a bright guy, knows what he's doing. Where are we? Well, I thought I'd written some little quotes down that I haven't done though. But like I say, Sir Keir Starmer was better. So I know we've got past the Doctor Who section, but who would you love to see playing the Doctor? Did you ever watch Misfits and or Game of Thrones? In Misfits, I only watched Misfits. The lad who played Simon, Ewan, he can do gentle, he can do athletic, he can do comedy because he was in Vicious as well as the Yorkshire lad upstairs with the two homosexual old actors downstairs, and obviously he can do drama, and I think he'd just be perfect. I can see him as a Doctor Who, and that's the one person I'd want to see as a Doctor Who. And he's Welsh as well. If that's what you say his name is, that'll do, but that's the one I think should be Doctor Who. I mean, he's still a very young guy, so he's got 20-30 years where he could still jump in the job and do it. So yeah, fingers crossed he would do it. He would be my choice as Doctor. I know it's a great choice. I know what I'm doing. I should be the Prime Minister. No, maybe not. So yeah, we've got the Prime Minister of Britain. I'll be honest with you, since Wednesday, politics has got a bit boring. But not to worry, we've still got Putin, and technically that's politics. So Wednesday, Putin, everyone's favourite nutter, said that, well, I didn't say, he oversaw nuclear missile exercises. Now, they weren't live nuclear missiles, they were basically the launches of nuclear missiles. I think Michael Sheen would upset David Tennant quite a bit, as your choice, Master Beef. And Saran Jones, yeah, I think Saran Jones would do a good job as well, because she's played many different things. I'm currently watching her in the original, when she first started off in Coronation Street, where she was married to, it's on ITV3, where she's married to, what's he called? Taxi driver guy. The son of the Irish guy. Arthur, sure, to be sure. David said his pick would be Michael. All right, okay then. That's only because they're friends. Anyway, Putin's overseeing nuclear testing, which is a bit dangerous, one thinks. Does one? Well, one does. Or does it? My dream would be Damien Maloney from Being Human. Was he the vampire guy with the long hair? A bit, what's the word I'm looking for? Poldarkish. Yes, right, there you go. Now, something else that's facing the axe, because apparently people are getting a bit fed up with Putin in Russia. So, oh no, sorry, it was the one after him. Alright, I didn't watch it, I only watched the first series. The Ford Fiesta is soon to be no more. He'd be a great master. Yeah, he would be a good master as well. The Ford Fiesta is going to be axed by Ford as a manufactured car. This is one of the early models. This is the XR2. It's one of my least favourite cars I've ever driven, that particular car. Not necessarily the XR2, but the Ford Fiesta of that era. The gearbox was shocking in it. It was absolutely dire. It put me off Ford. I've never had a Ford since. But they've improved them a little bit by the looks of things, and that's the current Ford Fiesta, which looks a bit nicer. But yeah, the Ford is going, so it's going to end up in the same metaphorical scrap heap as the rather cool but murderous Capri, the Ford Escort, which was the first car I ever had, Ford Escort Mark II, discussed it many times on here. The Sierra has gone as well. So yeah, they're drastically reducing the numbers and makes of cars and things, and the Fiesta is next to go. They will be kicking them out of production very, very soon indeed. Now, Rishi has made another decision, and again, I agree with this one. I really love the old Russian Lada. Yeah, have you ever watched them crash TV programs where they do Russian dash cams and everything? You see a Lada just get mushed to pieces and people just get out of it. There's that famous one where it gets absolutely crushed under the front of a lorry, and the guy just kind of crawls out of a bit of window that's about that big, and he's fine. And they're also very popular when I was into banger racing and everything. They were really strong cars, you know, literally it would just, you lose a wheel, whatever, but you just stick a new wheel on and off you go. And you know, the whole roof would be ripped off, but you just get a bit of T-cut and it'd come back again. They're amazing cars. They were built to last, but they were built for the Soviet weather, which is very extreme. You've got obviously the ice and cold, but in the summer it gets incredibly hot as well. So yeah, they were built to last. Talking of weather, the conference, COP27, is going to be in Egypt in a couple of weeks, and Rishi Sunak, the new Prime Minister of Britain, has said he's not going, and I agree. He doesn't need to go, because no matter what we do as a country, it ain't going to affect anything to do with the world. But more importantly, we've got things he needs to sort out now in Britain, and he's only got a couple of weeks before they have to do the budget statement, which has been put back until the 17th of November, to try and sort out the UK economy, to settle the pound, to settle the markets, and it's just one of them things where the climate change we're doing as much, if not more, than other countries. We need to sort our important stuff out so people can afford to buy electricity, buy gas, heat their houses, buy food. And if Rishi would sooner sort that out, I think, yeah, fair play. He's not going to be here for the whole time because he's got to go to the G20. So he'd be out of the country for a few weeks, which when we need him here to sort out the mess that Liz Truss and generally the economy has caused, including obviously the invasion of Ukraine by Russia, but he needs to be here to sort that out. We don't need him flying all over the world. He's got to go to the G20. I get that, but it's fair to say that I don't think the COP27 is a priority that it should go to. I think he should stick to trying to sort Britain out, and we just carry on doing COP20. But that was announced on Thursday, that it wasn't going, and people are like, oh, he's got to go because he's our Prime Minister. I'm like, no. Also possibly going to the G20 is Vladimir Putin, the President of Russia. He basically said that Russia has avoided the main sanctions that have been imposed on. I agree with that. People are giving him stick for not attending the climate change conference, but he's right staying in Britain, focusing on issues here. Yes, Master Beef. If it was like 5 years ago, then you'd be like, yeah, go on, get over there, sort it out, and he would. But there's more important things for Rishi to sort out at the moment. He's only just come Prime Minister. He's got to sort out the mess left by Liz Truss in, what, 7 weeks? It's unbelievable. Anyway, so yeah, he says that Russia have survived and have not noticed the sanctions against them. Has accused the West of igniting the war, and has again threatened, along with some of his aides. Well, he's a politician. People always complain, no matter what. That's the problem with politicians. Well, it's not the problem with politicians. You can't get everyone to agree to everything all of the time. And it's very rare when you're a politician you can get everyone to agree to anything, ever. So yeah, you're going to upset some people, you're not going to upset other people. But no, definitely the right thing to do is look after our immediate troubles, and then, you know, maybe next year go to COP28 when things have hopefully calmed down a bit. So yeah, Putin is basically just still saber rattling like he does. Meanwhile, Shell, this is weird to be fair, they've doubled profits, more than doubled profits year on year for this quarter, by, I think it was like just short of 9 million, and previously it was 9 billion, sorry, and previously it was 2 billion. But this is worldwide profits. So they're on about doing another tax on the profits of the big companies. And to be fair, the big companies are like, yeah, we weren't expecting this, so, you know, we don't have a major issue with you doing it, but we need to pay our investors, we need to pay our shareholders, which are British pension funds as well. A lot of British pension funds, if you've got a pension, chances are they're going to have money into the BP, Shell, Texaco, Exxon, whoever, because they're the companies that make money. The problem with political parties is because people will agree with the crowd. They're in no matter what. It's human nature, the herd effect. Yes, you sound like Boris Johnson there, Master Beef. Boris Johnson's gone very quiet now, as has everyone else. But yeah, the Shell making lots of money. Now, ironically, I went to, just on the border of Wigan and Hindley. Was it Hindley? No, on the other side of Hindley, there's a Shell petrol station, and I filled up my car with unleaded that cost £1.55.9 per litre, and that's considerably cheaper than any other petrol station I saw. It was on Tuesday, and I drove to Manchester, round Manchester, Salford, back again, then to my mum's and back again. So lots of petrol stations, and none of them were even close to the Shell petrol station that was selling it for 155.9. So there you go. Anyway, I mean, we think British politics is screwed. Thank God we don't live in Northern Ireland. The long and the short of it is, we talk about opposed parties. Well, if you're my age, you'll remember the Troubles in Northern Ireland, which was basically a civil war between the Protestants and the Catholics, and one side wanted to no longer be part of the United Kingdom and become part of the Republic of Ireland and have that whole island as one nation, whereas the other side wanted to keep their ties with the United Kingdom. So there were bombs going off left, right and centre. There was loads going off obviously in Northern Ireland, a couple in Southern Ireland as well, and then we had them in the UK, we had them in Birmingham, a good few in London, and we had the big one in Manchester in the 1990s, which I discussed when I was there on the bus journey. It was 1992 when that went off, and it was all to do with this rift. Anyway, towards the end of the 20th century, an agreement came where all the parties agreed that they would form a government in the old government building, which had not been used for a while because of the war, but they had to agree on certain things, and it worked quite well for a while, and then Brexit come along and completely messed it up. I mean, completely messed it up. And the problem was then that now there's no government in Northern Ireland because the DUP, who's the second biggest party, won't agree with Sinn Féin, who are the political wing of the IRA, the Irish Republican Army, to actually agree to have someone as a speaker in order then to, you know, hold the meetings, because we have a speaker, is actually an MP from Chorley, in English Parliament, and they have them in Scotland and they have them in Wales, but there's a lot of issues in Northern Ireland, and it looks like now we're heading towards this has happened overnight, but we're heading towards another election in Ireland, Northern Ireland, and the last one they had was only in May, and they've not been able to agree. I honestly don't know enough about politics to choose a party I support. To be fair, Master Beef, that's not unusual. I mean, what, you're in your mid-20s now? Early 20s? 24, 25, something like that? I would imagine at that age, I wasn't into politics either. But, you know, since then I've stood as an independent councillor. I've 24, yeah. I've looked into various things to do with politics. I follow the news more, so I'm a lot more aware than what I was. But if there was a general election tomorrow, I'd vote Tory for Rishi Sunak. But I wouldn't have necessarily last week voted Tory because of Liz Truss. That's how quick it can change. The issue I have with the Labour is, I mean, Sir Keir Starmer talks a lot, but he doesn't say a lot, if that makes sense. I don't know what his policies are, and I don't think we should have a general election now so that we get a Labour government just because they're not the Tory party, if that makes sense. Because obviously the Tory party at the moment would lose because of everything. But we don't know what we get with Labour because they've not told us anything. We haven't got a clue what Labour are about. We don't know how they're going to fix the budget. We don't know how they're going to help the National Health Service, prison service, what they're going to do with the borders, because we've got immigration crisis going on. No, nothing about them. At least with the Tories, and with Rishi in charge, who's like an adult, we kind of, although he's the youngest one, like I've said, for 200 years, we kind of know what we've got and where we're going. Whereas I can't imagine the current crop of Labour MPs. I mean, when you see the front bench, you've got the Ashton-under-Lyne MP, Angela Rayner, and she's like I've said before, she's like a washerwoman. You can imagine her screaming and shouting, and throwing a finger out. But all the rest are just inane and got nothing about them. I couldn't actually name another Labour shadow cabinet minister because they're just, the kind of thing. And we do want a government like that. I think we've got a steady ship now. I think Rishi is going to be able to do the best he can and probably do better than most could do. Whether it's going to be enough or not, I don't know. But I think having an election now just to vote in a Labour Party just because they're not Tories is not a way forward, and I think that's out the frying pan into the fire because we genuinely have no idea what we're going to get if we get a Labour Party. Bearing in mind, every Labour government we've ever had has left the country with more unemployment, higher taxes and less money in the funds than what it's had when it took office. So I can't see how that's going to change. Anyway, we digress. Things are heating up. It's meant to be a debate though, that's good. So we're now going to talk about hairstyles. Now, apparently, and I don't get this, Afro hair has been banned from schools in the United Kingdom, and I'm like, that's like banning someone for having a big nose, or banning someone for having, I don't know, a freckle on the end of the nose or something. You can't help your hair, and if you want to grow your hair, as long as you're not disruptive, as long as it doesn't get in other people's faces, or literally, then what does it matter? Why is it such a big issue? I've never understood the hair thing. Like, young lads are not allowed to have like tram lines in their hair or whatever when they're at school. Why? It makes them feel more confident in themselves and less paranoid about what everyone's thinking about them because they've got what they think is cool. Then that's surely going to help their homework, isn't it, and everything. I mean, maybe, don't go in with green hair or whatever, but when I was at school, okay, it was in the late 70s, early 80s, one of my mates became a punk, and prior to that point, he'd been the typical, all the girls fawned over him because he had blue eyes, blonde hair, just a typical curtain haircut and everything. We went on summer holiday, he'd come back, he was a punk, and he had a massive Mohican, massive shaved head, and then this Mohican that was all different colours, and he was still allowed in. He had pins in his blazer, whatever, because that's who he was. That's who he wanted to be. That's what he wanted to look like. And everyone took the mickey out of him to begin with, but we got used to it. And eventually he stopped doing it. I think he only did it for a few months, and then he just went back to having, his hair, because he'd done a lot of stuff with it, was brown then. But same thing. And but I don't see what anyone's hairstyle has got to do with anything. I mean, we allow people to wear hijabs in school because that's their religion. So what's the difference between that and someone having a afro, or like I say, having a birthmark or a speech impediment? It's who they are, and you shouldn't punish people for that. So British schools, wake up. I never thought I'd say that, but there you go. What can you do? Elon Musk. God. Right, Elon Musk the other day went into Twitter headquarters with a bathroom sink. Now that wouldn't make sense. That would make sense if it was a stainless steel kitchen sink. But a bathroom sink, it's throwing everything at it, including the kitchen sink. But walking in with a bathroom sink. Anyway, he's now bought Twitter, and he hopes to incorporate it or make it the starting block for his X app, which is going to be an app for everything. And I'm like, well, why do we need an app for everything? Because if I go on my phone and I've got all my apps there, so all I do is I just press the app that I want to go on. I don't. If you're in the X app, surely there'll be a menu where you have to press things. So what's the difference between pressing something in a menu in an app rather than on your home screen where the apps are? I don't get it. But anyway, what's that, Master Beef? In the long run, there will be no major improvements for the average person, no matter who's in charge. I think there will be. I think we should see a difference. Schools banning haircuts is so stupid. You can't expect every person to dress and look a certain way and punishing them for being themselves. No, I mean that's where you start getting to places like China, where you have to have one of 6 designated haircuts in China if you're a man. I think there's other countries where they do it as well. You can only have your hair in certain ways, and you get a choice. So yeah, not good at all. Anyway, Elon Musk has bought Twitter after the elongated wrangle that went on. So fingers crossed we won't notice any difference. But he's on about bringing back Donald Trump, Kanye West, and various other people as well onto the platform who've all been banned for inciting hatred, violence, and just being idiots. So it'd be interesting to see how it goes. And what else is there? I think we're nearly there for the British ones, but I've got a couple of memes. Oh yeah, Northern Ireland, I mentioned. That's coming out of the discussion earlier on today. He spent all that money when he could have downloaded it free from the Apple Store. That's very good. I might have to use that joke myself. So going back to Doctor Who. Exactly, they are there to learn an education, not to learn fashion. Yeah, exactly. So Doctor Who, like I say, she's coming back as well. Apparently. I don't know how it's going to work. I honestly don't know how it's going to work. So, a couple of memes. Now, these memes were from the beginning of the week. I'm glad you did. Oh, thanks. I mean, we don't know each other that well, but, you know, and you've only been on here today, but, I mean, you know, you're a decent companion, so yeah, I'll go with that. This was before, this was Friday, maybe Saturday, these memes popped up. So this is before Doctor Who, so the irony is quite good, although not for the first one. A little podium there, and the King has asked me to come Prime Minister because the nonsense has gone on for long enough. Which I thought was really cool, and that's off Lad Bible. Well, I should be watching Grandad Bible, really, shouldn't I? But anyway, well, yeah, there you go. And then another one. This is one I was on about. This is before Doctor Who aired, so this is actually quite intelligent. Liz Truss is the only PM to have an episode of Doctor Who air, or not to have an episode of Doctor Who air during their premiership since the show began in 1963. Now, to be fair, she did, because they aired the episode on Sunday and she was still Prime Minister on Sunday, but technically she'd already resigned. So Rishi needs to last now until November of next year. So at least he gets an episode of Doctor Who during his premiership. How does that work though? Because Doctor Who was off for like 10 years. So surely it's got we had different MPs, different Prime Ministers in those 10 years that Doctor Who was off. Or was it the Blair years? Don't know. I don't know. Maybe Blair did got the last episode of the first one, and then maybe Scottish guy got the next ones. Anyway, a couple of memes. We like memes. It was off from 1989 to 2005, so that's not true then. That's not true then. But I suppose it kind of shows the humour that what people have got, because there was no Prime Minister from 1985 to 2005. I thought it was more than 10 years. I didn't realise it was quite that long. But yeah, when they brought it back, I was like, for God's sake, what are they bringing that back for? And now I love it, so, you know. Just shows what I know. Anyway, everyone's favourite bit now. Da, 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 da. It's Meanwhile in America. La 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 la, America. Da da, America. We all love news from America, because they do some stupid things. Again, this is a light-hearted look at the news, but some of the American news is not light-hearted at all. But I'm just trying to point out and quite a lot of Americans listen and watch, well, more listen to this on podcast than watch it, that the Americans are a little bit annoying. How did Chris Chibnall make 3 terrible series, then make an absolute classic for his last episode? Probably because Russell T Davies was involved somewhere, I would have thought. I would have thought Russell T Davies would have been in the background going, no, you can't do that. No, look, this is how I want to start my next series. I want Tennant, and we'll have a flashback of various other people. I must admit, Doctor Who, I watched what's it called, The Flux. I watched everything up to 2 episodes into The Flux, and then I stopped watching it. I just got bored because The Flux just went on too long. But then before this showed on Sunday, I watched from the last episode I'd watched, and then all the episodes after that to catch up. And yeah, they weren't great, but they weren't terrible either, I suppose. So, anyway, American news. Russell is the Lord and Saviour. He is indeed. And he's back. I'm excited for Tennant's returning, but I kind of feel the new guy will be overshadowed. Yeah, it will be overshadowed, because I was expecting him to appear at the end of this episode, and he didn't. And we now learned we've got 3 episodes with Tennant. Because what I thought might happen is, it ends, and then the new series starts, and it's kind of him going, oh, I've got my same colour kidneys and teeth that same and everything, and then he goes, and then changes into the new guy. But no, we've got 3 episodes, and we're bringing back Catherine Thingamabobby as his, whatchamacallit, companion. Must admit the companions have been a bit lame as well recently. Anyway. Now, I don't know about you, but I've been going on about the uselessness of electric vehicles for quite a while now. I don't see electric as the future, and someone said to me today that Elon Musk has said he doesn't see electric as the future either. It's just a temporary stopgap because the batteries that you need and everything. But the other issue you have is when one of these batteries catch fire. I mean, these are bike batteries, but when these batteries catch fire, they don't go out very quickly. We do see him on the trailer for the 60th, so I think he'll somewhere be in it with Tennant before Tennant actually regenerates into him. Yeah, it could be. I mean, again, you know, we've already got a future Doctor appearing regularly in Doctor Who, i.e. the big black lady. I like her, I think she's cool. So we've got her appearing, and she's on that list of doctors that we looked at before. So she is an official Doctor, but unnumbered because we haven't got to her yet. And then you have the War Doctor and stuff like that. But then you've got Doctors appearing from the past. So there's no reason why we can't have one appearing from the future, which is his next incarnation. I might even tell him, oh, I'm next, you're next, you're me next, or something like that, I don't know. But we'll have to wait and see. There'll be more twist in it than that, because that's why I'm not a scriptwriter. That's why Russell T Davies is the genii of a scriptwriter. I'm just kind of worried, though, that when this new guy takes over, I can imagine the uniform he takes. Oh, she's actually before the first Doctor. Actually, she is. That's a good point. Well made. She is before the first Doctor. Yes. I'm getting confused, you see, because I didn't pay attention to that bit. Oh, God. She was better Doctor than Jodie in 5 minutes. The fugitive Doctor. There you go. So, yeah. Anyway, fires, batteries. Apart from all the chemicals that you need to dig up from the earth ship around the world, make the batteries, put the acid in there, stick them underneath. When they run out, what are you going to do? How are you going to charge them up when everyone's got electric cars and not enough electricity? They're talking about giving us power cuts now, this winter, around the world, because there's not enough electricity. So how the hell are we going to manage when all the cars are electric? So what we need to do is we need to get hydrogen, blah, blah, blah. But it doesn't make any sense because the TARDIS looks like a police box because it landed in the 60s, the very first episode. That's Chumnall's writing for it. Yeah, it should have been the circular chute thing, wasn't it? Because that's what it was originally, circular tube, like a toilet roll. Anyway, massive blaze at New York City bike shop, possibly sparked by e-bikes. There's more than likely was caused by e-bikes. Because remember when we first started getting e-cigs, and then you got them batteries in the little hoverboard things that don't hover, they got wheels on. You know, they used to go off all the time and explode and catch fire and all this kind of thing. So imagine this, you know, worldwide in cars. It's scary. It is scary. Anyway, thankfully no one was hurt. Biden. I mean, you know, we've moaned about Liz Truss, Theresa May, and I almost forgot her name then, I had to think, and Boris and all that. But at least we haven't got Biden. Mind you, he's not Trump, so it's not all bad. Earth to Joe. President Biden appeared to zone out after he was asked in a new interview whether his wife, Jill, wants him to run for re-election in 2024. I have not made that formal decision, but it's my intention to run again, and we have time to make that decision. No disrespect, I don't think he's got much time for anything these days. I think we need to get a lettuce out on him. Pfizer say that COVID-19 vaccine will cost $110 to $130 per dose when USA stops paying. No worries, Master Beef. I will see you all again. I'll see you all again. I'll see you again later. Take care, and thank you very much indeed for watching. And hopefully you might do it again. They're all a lost cause. Yeah, that is true. Politicians, definitely. So many people will, because obviously in America you have to pay for it. Over here, you don't. But yeah, they said, wasn't that the one that said they weren't going to make any money from it? And now it's every Friday. Every Friday, 8 o'clock, I do these videos, live videos. Other live videos I do are Tuesdays, but I don't read them because I'm driving at the time. So yeah, stay safe, and I might catch up with you later. So yeah, thankfully we get them for free, so happy days. But if you're an American, oh dear. Ted Cruz, everyone's favourite senator, said no one ever. Yankee fans give a Bronx welcome to Senator Ted Cruz during the team's loss against the Houston Astros on Sunday night. Several spectators flipped the bird at the Texas senator as he waved to a sea of fans in the bleachers at the Bronx Stadium. 3 fans raised their middle fingers because there are some Americans who know bad Americans when they see them, and Ted Cruz up there definitely. A Michigan woman was arrested for failing to scan all items at a Walmart self-checkout. Now, is this a new thing? I mean, we've had self-checkouts. I was working in Asda in, God, when was it? 2008? Take 2 years off that. No, take 1 year off that, 2006. So around about 2006, 2005, I was working in Asda, and they installed self-scan tills. And I said to one of the checkout girls, these things are going to take your job, aren't they? And she went, no, they're not. Now admitted. It's been a long while. But you go into Asda now, and there's hardly anyone on checkouts. You go into Tesco now, there's more people on checkouts in Tesco, but they've certainly increased. They've now got trolley checkouts as well as basket checkouts, as well as the things where you scan your club card and you kind of pay for it as you go around the shop stuff. So yeah, why are these new in America? And why is this news? A Michigan woman is being charged after allegedly stealing items from Walmart by not scanning all her items at the self-checkout. Police say the 34-year-old was using the self-checkout at the Alpena County Walmart, where loss prevention workers noticed she wasn't scanning every item. Really? Really? I mean, what really annoys me is when people scan all the stuff because everything's weighted. So you put your basket down on the one side of the checkout and it weighs that and knows there's a basket there. And then when you take an item out, it knows how much weight's gone from the basket. And then when you put it down on the other side after scanning it, it expects that weight to end up there. And that's how it knows that, you know, that unexpected item is when you put something across that hasn't actually been scanned. So, to be fair, at the moment, I actually prefer going to self-scans, I'm afraid. Mainly because of COVID. That's kind of put me on it, and I don't want someone touching stuff that's touched other people's stuff all day long. So I'm more of a self-scanner. But the thing that really annoys me the most is when people self-scan, pay for it, put it through, and then take a bag from that side, and then start putting the food in the bag and don't pay for the bag. That really gets my goat. That's really annoying. That's almost as annoying as, it's not quite as annoying, but as parking in a disabled bay when you're not disabled, parking in a child parking bay when you haven't got a child with you, and the new one is parking in the electric parking bay. I don't have an electric car, but the electric parking bay is there for a reason. When your car's not electric, that gets my goat as well. But nicking carrier bags really gets me wound up. Anyway, Yeah, apparently this is news in America. Apparently they've just found out you can actually take stuff on the old, there must be the old ones that don't weigh stuff, because it's a lot more difficult to do it now, so I've been told, than, no, I've never done that. I'm always too scared of doing that. But yeah, it's news in America. Judges side with California baker over same-sex wedding cake. And again, America, you've got to love America because they're completely off their heads. Bakersfield, California. Bakersfield. It's a baker. See what they did there? Now, a California judge has ruled in favour of a bakery owner who refused to make wedding cakes for a same-sex couple because it violated her Christian beliefs. Now, how many cans of worms do we want to open here? I opened a massive can of worms last week, which I was digging myself deeper and deeper in something, and I didn't want to. I knew what I wanted to say, but it just came out all wrong. But this one, you're a baker. Someone comes in and says, "I want a cake." You bake a cake. You put on whatever they want. No doubt, in their time, they'll have done cookies where they put willies on it and boobies on it for people's birthdays or whatever. They'll have done stuff like that. But to do something like it happened in Britain as well, and the bakers, to be fair, has gone bust that did it over here, as has the one that celebrated the Queen dying in Scotland. It's been bought by a new owner. You know, the bakery where she celebrated that the lizard is dead and all that kind of stuff. Well, her business just went down the pan and she sold it now. She's got new people in running it. So yeah, hopefully this will go the same way. But a cake is a cake. You bake cakes, so it doesn't matter. It's not like you're going to take the cake into the church and say, "Look what I baked. I think this is fantastic." You're not going to do that. You know, I serve people when I'm in my shop that I don't like, but I don't know. I just don't understand how, if people want a cake and you bake cakes, you refuse to bake them a cake. And I mean, it's California. There's free love and all that kind of thing. There are a lot of people going to boycott that shop. So they've really, you know, swallow your pride. Okay, maybe mumble about it to the staff. "Oh, this is ridiculous. We're not doing this for all these bleep, 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 or whatever." But do it anyway. Get your money. Put up, shut up, and keep your business. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see in a few months' time. That picture will be up again, and it says California baker closes after same-sex wedding cake fiasco, or something similar. At least fingers crossed anyway. Good news is there was no guns involved. Now, America has got a keen eye on what's going on in Britain. You'll be pleased to hear. Who is Rishi Sunak? Okay. To be fair, if you're American, that's a decent question. The new UK Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, is a former hedge fund boss who previously helmed the nation's treasury and has promised to restore integrity, professionalism and accountability to Britain after months of political upheaval. Sunak is the third Prime Minister to leave the United Kingdom since July. They have to chuck that in, don't they? After Boris, who was forced to step down following a series of scandals, and Liz Truss, who was just completely useless. So yeah, America seemed to be happy with our choice as well, which is slightly worrying, to be fair. They have a lovely, you've got to love the Russians. They are such a peace-loving bunch of leaders. I'm not having a go at the population in general at all, but you know, they are brainwashed en masse, as are we probably to an extent, but certainly not to the extent they are. But a Russian state TV presenter has said Ukrainian kids should be drowned. And the RT channel, which has been banned in the UK now, has been accused of inciting genocide after a star presenter that should be said that Ukrainian kids should be drowned or burned alive. A guest recalled Ukrainian kids complaining to him about Russian occupiers as far back as the Soviet times in the 1980s. And this TV, you can't imagine Michael Parkinson saying something like this. They should have been drowned in the Tennessee River or burnt. I mean, this is state TV. This is like the BBC. I mean, we have I mean, this is a prime example, and it's still got his job, still working, still going on every night, or however he goes on, still having his chat show and everything. So nothing's changed for him. We have a presenter on our news who smiles when Boris Johnson pulls out of the election and says thank goodness for that, and she gets suspended for it. Go figure. Both state-run TVs stations. A risky business. Passengers, high-risk behaviour busted by roadside camera. So there was a gentleman driving along the road. He got a $680 fine and 4 detriment points, or points on his licence, after a roadside camera caught the front seat passenger carrying out a high-risk act on the man behind the wheel. Now, to be fair, I don't think the act itself is high risk. I think it's quite safe, and many people enjoyed participating in that activity. However, whilst driving in a car along the road, that is definitely a high risk thing to do. The camera is a phone and seatbelt detection camera, and it located the woman leant over from the passenger seat with her head in the lap of the driver whilst he was driving down the road. And yes, like I say, it's not a high risk thing at all. And like I say, I dare say many people enjoy that activity. However, there's a time and a place, and when you're driving a car on a freeway, that is not the time or the place. Hashtag just saying. Biden calls Kamala Harris a great president. And yet another gaffe. President Biden on Monday called Vice President Kamala Harris a great president while wishing her a happy birthday in his latest verbal slip-up. It is quite scary that he comes out with more rubbish than Ronald Reagan and George W. Bush put together, but they still love him. 5 tourists were trapped underground at a Grand Canyon cavern place after the elevator breaks. So 5 people were trapped 200 feet underground for more than 24 hours at the Grand Canyons in Arizona, Grand Canyon Caverns, easy for them to say, in Arizona, after the elevator at the tourist attraction malfunctioned. The 5 tourists became stranded inside the country's largest dry caverns, where there's an underground hotel suite and a restaurant at sundown on Sunday. So it's not like the end of the world. It's not like them poor kids in Chile, wherever it was, who were, freezing to death and frightened of drowning as the water levels rose, and they were stuck there for days. There was a hotel suite and a restaurant down there with them. So yeah, ooh, shocking. But my thought on this is, why is there only one elevator? Surely something like that has tourists going in there should be 2 elevators. And I'm pretty sure in mines there were 2 elevators in the mines that we had. You didn't have one necessarily going in, you'd have a spare as well. So yeah, I can imagine, I can think of worse places to being stuck because of a lift malfunction than near a hotel suite in a restaurant in a cave that's dry. Anyway, it wasn't me. So Biden hails Rishi Sunak's ascension to UK Prime Minister as a groundbreaking milestone. He hailed the incoming Prime Minister Rishi Sunak as groundbreaking milestone. Biden mentioned the new Conservative Party leader at the White House to celebrate Diwali, which is a major Hindu festival. The United Kingdom just today has got news that Rishi Sunak is now the Prime Minister, Biden said. So yeah, he's happy that we've got Rishi in charge. He also called him, there's a clip of him where he gets his name completely wrong, but again, we'll let him off for that because, you know, I don't get everyone's name right either, but mind you, I'm not the President of the United States of America. Now, there may be, I mean, going back to the act going on in the car a couple of stories ago, maybe the young lady was just checking that she wasn't in the car with Harvey Weinstein and having a good look and just checking, because apparently Harvey Weinstein's deformed genitalia is to be scrutinised at LA crimes trial. Harvey Weinstein's alleged deformed genitalia will be laid bare and discussed in detail during his trial. You've come at the right time, Reese. Mrs. Pardon the pun. The disgraced Hollywood's mogul's accuser will take to the stand and describe unique things about his body, including his dangly bits, and how he allegedly assaulted various different people. Yeah, I suppose it's got to be done, but I hope they don't get to know all these gory details. That's all I can wish for. Who knew? It's a shame the master's gone. Kids that play video games perform better on cognitive skills test. Looks like Fortnite and Minecraft are not turning your kids' brains to mush. Well, they're not, because I know when I play a lot of games, my reactions get better and better and better, because you're reacting really quickly, more than you would do in normal time. You have more reactions per second than what you do in normal life. If you're just sat watching telly, you're not reacting to anything. You might occasionally go, "Wah!" like that if there's a horror thing on a TV show, or someone that you like in a soap opera gets crushed by a caravan. What the hell? Yeah, I mean, these things, they're like that, but this, you're getting shot left, right and centre, and you're looking around and you're like, woo, wee, woo. And now they're saying that it's actually helping kids study and work things out quicker, because their brains are more attuned to solving problems very, very quickly indeed. Well, who knew? A couple of years ago they were saying that everyone who plays Grand Theft Auto is going around murdering people and committing arson and driving cars off cliffs. I've never done any of them. Well, not that I'm admitting to on here anyway. There's a Spanish man who's travelling to the World Cup from Spain, obviously, and he's going there. Is he walking or biking? He's either walking or biking, and he's by foot for the World Cup, and he's been arrested in Iran after visiting the grave of the young lady who died after she was arrested for violating hijab laws. Human rights activist said. The former paratrooper, who's 41, has been missing since he walked over the northwest border in Iran about 3 weeks ago. Now it turns out he's in prison in Iran. Now, talking of nations we need to keep an eye on, Iran is definitely one of them at the moment, with their new Ayatollah Khomeini. The last Ayatollah Khomeini that we had was the one who started the Gulf War. So hopefully they release the guy, and hopefully he manages to get to the World Cup in time. Hopefully he's actually made... I mean, even if they just escort him to the border and just chuck him into the next country, at least he'll still be able to do his trip. One hopes. Now this is a tragic story. A gay couple posts a tragic photos before jumping to the death in Armenia. A star-crossed young gay couple jumped to their deaths from a bridge in Armenia after sharing a kiss in their final photo. The organisation Pink Armenia reported that two men identified as Arsen and Tigran leaped the 301-foot Dagestan bridge in the capital of Yerevan last week before committing suicide together on the October the 20th. Again, why are people not allowed to be who they are in any country in the world? I mean, we just talked about the World Cup. I mean, the human rights of Qatar is abysmal. It's appalling. It's shocking. And if they did something like that in the streets of Qatar, they'd get arrested. Now, I know what people say. Yes, but if you go to people's countries, I say this: if you go to people's countries, you've got to respect their laws and their religions and all that kind of stuff. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. But these countries have also got to respect human rights. So I wouldn't necessarily walk around Qatar drinking, bottles of bud and swearing at people and doing stuff like that, because I know that's not what you do in Qatar. If you do drink, and most of them don't drink because they're the Muslims, then what you do is you go to the hotel that you're staying in and you drink there. But human rights, if you're gay, straight, bisexual, transgender, whatever, that's what you are, and you should be allowed to live your life without restrictions, being what you are. And for these two young lads to kill themselves because they've not been accepted by whoever is insane. It's so tragically sad. Like I said, I try and keep this light-hearted, but you just can't on stories like that. It's just dreadful. So thoughts with their families and hopefully their friends as well, and hopefully it will make a change. You can't always move out of the country. That's a simple thing to do. But their families are there. Everyone they know is there. They go to a different country. You've got no money. You can't get there. I don't know. And plus, Armenia isn't one of the easiest countries to get in and out of either. It is former Soviet, remember? Right, this I don't get. Again, another tragedy. 4 teens killed in a Buffalo car crash, maybe linked to a TikTok challenge. They died in a car crash that authorities believe may be linked to a disturbing new TikTok challenge. Thankfully, it doesn't tell me what the TikTok challenge is. A 16-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 17-year-old. Actually, is it two? Oh, they're aged from 14 to 17 were killed. Again, I don't know what the TikTok challenge is or why people think. I mean, we had the tragedy earlier on this year of the young lad who was doing a TikTok challenge and ended up in a coma for a very, very long while. And it does feel like TikTok is, I don't know, it's testing the vulnerability of people who are vulnerable and making them do things that they would not be aware of if it wasn't for TikTok. And there's a lot of stuff on Facebook now. If you go on Facebook, there's all these things where there's people walking around putting buckets on people's heads in like B&Q style places and stuff like that, and it's obviously all staged. But those kind of things, people might think, oh, I can do that in real life, and then you do it in America, you're going to get stabbed or shot or whatever. People won't see the funny side, and these things are dangerous, and TikTok is by far the worst, because there's a number of kids who've tried the suffocation thing, whatever it is. I've no idea what this is. I didn't want to progress any further, just thought it was tragic enough as it is. But I mean, TikTok and other social media companies really need to take a close look at what their content is doing to people. We had the sad case the other week of that young British girl who committed suicide, and they looked at her history on Instagram, and it was all about taking your own lives, how you are a waste of humanity, and all these negative things that were being pumped to her. And she even got an email recommending from Instagram suicide sites and things like that, because there are robots who control all this. It's not humans, but surely to God they should be able to put in the algorithms that if the word death, suicide, depression or whatever repeatedly comes up in someone's feed, then you get a human to look at their feed, look at what they're looking at, and then maybe block everything on your site that has those words in it for that individual, to at least try and help. I'm not saying they could necessarily contact the individual, because I don't think that would make any difference, but if you can block them from viewing stuff on your site. Oh, is it Reddit? No, it was Instagram, because there was a woman from Facebook, Meta, who went there and said, no, it was definitely Instagram, and she said, we can't be. I think that what she looked at was okay for a teenager to look at, and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, what planet are you on? If it was your daughter, you wouldn't be saying that. If it was your cousin, your niece, you wouldn't be saying that. It's amazing, isn't it? As soon as I slag off Facebook, the Meta, I start getting lag. Stricter rules, yes, but definitely stricter things as well. So yeah, they definitely need stricter rules, but they need the robots, because I appreciate that you can't have billions of people looking at everything that's going on. Yeah, no, I'm right. There we go, Jam Genius. Oh, just wait for this lag to go away. Right, tell me when the lag's gone. It's not lagging anymore here now. Oh, it is a bit. Yeah, it is. How are we doing? I think it's gone. Yeah, I think it might have gone. It's still bobbing up a little bit. Anyway, we'll carry on regardless. Yeah, I think it's sorted itself out now. So, that was the tragedy of TikTok and other social media as well. St. Louis shooter, school shooter, as pictured in an eerie yearbook as new details emerge. That went really laggy at this end. The isolated loner teenager who killed 2 people in St. Louis High School was captured in an eerie yearbook photo looking sullen and expressionless. The picture of Orlando Harris was confirmed by police on Tuesday. Yeah, there's more about him later. Again though, teenagers getting guns and going into schools. Yeah, we seem to be okay, yeah. It's got a warning up on the YouTube page for me, but it seems to be working alright and I'm not getting the notifications for the lag. Here we go. Biden mangles I can't even say UK. Biden mangles new UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's name during Diwali event. President Biden butchered UK Prime Minister's Rishi Sunak's name on Monday, while calling the new leader's achievements outstanding and groundbreaking. Biden's very noticeable mispronunciation. See, here's me having a go at Biden for not being able to speak properly. Mispronunciation of the new PM's name came during a White House event celebrating Diwali. Rishi Sunak is now the new Prime Minister, said Biden. Be fair, he only got 2 words wrong. I got the whole thing wrong. Now this is a weird one. I know where the bodies are buried, and Iowa. They've had them for so long, it's pretty much impossible for them to get rid of them all. That is the point, Reese. They've had them since the Declaration of Independence. Yeah, and a lot of Americans don't have guns. That's the thing. A lot of Americans don't have guns, but a lot of Americans do have guns, and they're the ones who seem to. Well, not all of them. I mean, only isolate a few, but people should not be able to get hold of guns so easily. There's more about guns later, anyway. I know where the bodies are buried. Iowa. A woman claims a dad was a ruthless serial killer who killed nearly 70 women. A woman has claimed that her late father was a ruthless serial killer who murdered dozens of women before his death. He died about 10 years ago. She also suddenly claimed he enlisted her and her sibling to help move the bodies of the deceased women and bury them. That's why she knows where they are. Well, surely then she's an assistant to murder, even if she was only a kid at the time. And then to wait 10 years after his death before saying anything to anyone. It's a bit weird. I think he's got more than something wrong in his mind, Angela. Biden gets 5th COVID shot. Says virus is still a threat, weeks after calling the pandemic over. Well, we all know by now that like flu, COVID is going to get worse during winter because more people are going to be in contact with people in tighter environments, i.e. indoors. So you're more likely, instead of going to a barbecue outside, you're more likely to go around for a meal to your friends, if that's the kind of thing you do. Yeah, he's had his 5th shot. I mean, this is going to go on forever, isn't it? There's two new variants that have been found in Britain, but they're still deciding whether or not they're worse or less worse than the Omicron variant. So yeah, either way, Watch this space. I went to the shop actually earlier on near me, and there were a couple in there, and they were just coughing the guts up. And I'm like, I don't want to go anywhere near you. So when I come home, I just showered in hand sanitizer. I didn't really, that'd be weird. An 8-year-old Houston boy shot, and he was killed by his 10-year-old brother. Again, why are kids... Okay, you've got guns in your house, right? Because you're allowed to have guns in your house. That doesn't mean you leave them lying around for your under 10 kids to play with. No, my new shop is not going to be in Lee. It's going to be in Wigan. Don't be stupid. An 8-year-old boy was accidentally shot and killed by his older brother in their Houston apartment on Monday afternoon. 3 p.m. to a residence in City Bears Creek Crossing Apartments, where an 8-year-old victim was allegedly struck by a bullet while his 10-year-old brother was handling a shotgun. A 13-year-old sibling was also at home but was unarmed. So there were 3 kids in a house with a shotgun, and guess what? One of them gets killed. America, wake up. Please, for the sake of your children. Cop finds an Amazon driver dead in front yard after an apparent dog attack. An Amazon, this is horrible. Oh, sarcasm, I think it was, mate. Yeah, don't worry. An Amazon delivery driver was found dead. Sorry, I was reading a comment then, not this. Outside a home in Missouri, following an apparent dog attack, leading cops to shoot dead 2 aggressive animals. I mean, we often joke about, being a postman in Britain being chased down the garden path by a little pooch or whatever, but to lose your life, possibly, because you're delivering a parcel to someone who's got dogs that are uncontrollable. That's horrendous. Again, thoughts and prayers to the families and friends of everyone involved in that. This is a weird story as well. Missing grandma's body found in a monster python that swallowed her whole. A grandmother was swallowed whole by a 22-foot long python in Indonesia. They cut the python open and her remains were inside. She'd gone to collect rubber from a plantation in Jambi on Sunday, and she failed to return, and they found a rather large python after finding just her sandals. So yeah, again, horrible. Horrible. Yeah. Oh, this is another one about the stranded tourists. 5 tourists who spent more than 26 hours stuck underground in Arizona cavern following an elevator malfunction have been lifted to safety, officials said on Tuesday. Thank goodness for that. There's only so much hospitality you can take in any one time, isn't there? Right, here's a new villain of America. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Kanye West. Kanye West is no longer a billionaire after Adidas cuts ties. Now, I don't understand how your money just disappears. I'll be honest with you. If you're a billionaire, you're a billionaire. And, okay, he's a madman, he's a nutter, he's a loony, he's a racist, ironically. He's anti-Semitic, he's talks rubbish, but his music's really, really good. And that's where juxtaposition goes. He's not gone round and, done horrible things to people directly. He's merely vented his opinion on things to people. And rightly so, some companies have got a bit upset. So Kanye West has lost his status as a billionaire after Adidas ended a lucrative Yeezy apparel deal in response to a series of bizarre anti-Semitic meltdowns, according to Forbes. He was estimated at $2 billion, and $1.5 billion was attributed to his relationship with Adidas. So now he's basically only worth $500 million. God, imagine having just that amount of money. Now, one of my friends has recently become a father. His girlfriend, fiance, has had a baby, and he said to me, he says, they keep going on about having to sterilise everything all the time. Everything's got to be sterilised all the time around the baby and everything. I'm like, yeah, well, you know, the baby's a little bit premature, so it kind of makes sense, but I do think there's a tendency to over sanitise things. However, this gentleman kind of took it too far the other way, but then also proved the point as well, indirectly. The world's dirtiest man, who last showered 60 years ago, died aged 94. An hermit who'd been unofficially dubbed the world's dirtiest man after not showering for some 60 years has died at the age of 94. He was known for his grime-covered skin and matted hair, and he abstained from washing because he believed soap and that was interfering with his body, and he lived to 94. So it kind of proves the point that you know, maybe we are a bit too clean on everything, and then little things come along and just wipe us out. So 94 though, I mean, for a bloke that's good, but for a bloke in the Middle East, that's amazing, and for a bloke who basically lived as a hermit, even more amazing. Gun crime in America. Oh, I didn't think this was a thing. Oh yeah, hang on a minute. 8 innocent bystanders in 1 month have been caught by bullets in crossfire. A 16-year-old girl hanging around with her friends after school. She was struck. A grandmother walking home with a grocery, where she was struck. A retired cop heading to his job with a child was struck. Loads and loads and loads of people are being caught up in. It's like the Wild West, but it's in New York City. The crime rate in New York City at the moment is horrendous. You've got people being pushed off the platforms in front of trains. You've got people being robbed and stabbed on the trains in the subway system. You've got people being caught in crossfire. You've got people being killed. I mean, you know, everyone says New York's a city you should go to. I think I would avoid it like the plague at the moment. I'm not saying you're much safer in Moss Side or anything, but certainly it's not good at all at the moment there. And here's another one. We remember the Uvalde shooting massacre with the 19 school kids, all under 10s, and 2 teachers getting shot. Well, there are there's footage now from the cops basically saying that they don't want to actually go into attack the gunman because they don't want to get shot themselves. So there's kids being shot, not like shot individually, and they're just outside whinging and moaning about it and saying they don't want to go in, they don't want to be the one that goes in because they don't want to get shot. I mean, don't be a policeman if that's what you think, and don't be a policeman in America if that's what you think. You know, children died unnecessarily because of their ineptitude. Talking of inept. Oh, God, I hate these people so much. Climate protester glues his head to Girl with a Pearl Earring, the famous painting. Climate protester glued his shaved head to the world famous Girl with a Pearl Earring at a museum in The Hague on Thursday, the latest in a series of stunts targeting iconic artworks. Second activist glued his hand next to the painting on the wall and then poured a can of tomato soup over the head of the first man. Yeah, bulletproof vest, you're right. And they've also got the masks as well that they could wear. There are ways of dealing with it, but you know. I don't understand what these people think they're doing. Why gluing yourself to an art masterpiece is going to help your cause for people to stop using oil? Like I said last week, doesn't matter what you do, we can't stop using oil literally immediately. It's impossible. We need to build other replacement fuels. And I think all these people should just be simply taken away and put somewhere where they can live without oil. Mars, Rwanda. They've got nothing better to do. That's all it is. They've got nothing better to do, so they think we'll just mess up other people's lives innocently I mean, they're blocking roads. There are people who can't get to hospital, can't get to work, can't get to school, college, court cases, whatever, because these idiots are disrupting people's lives on a cause that I get, but is completely pointless because we can't switch things off overnight. It's as a world, we're trying to sort it out, but we can't do it overnight. So, stand with a placard outside somewhere, by all means. Stand outside petrol stations, by all means. Lobby your MP, by all means. But doing the stuff that they're doing, going on that bridge last week, pouring soup over a Van Gogh painting. I don't get what the point is. I don't get what it proves. It's just pathetic. And it's not going to. No one's going to do anything because of them. So what we need to do is, send them to Rwanda. We've got planes waiting. Just send them to Rwanda. They don't use as much petrol there, as much oil. They'll be fine. They'll live happily ever after. Probably. They'll be lucky. Sorry. I was getting a bit angry then. I'm getting a bit angry then. I'm alright now. Where are we up to? I think I've actually jumped to a row here, but never mind. Yeah, well, I was talking about that last week, Angela. Protesters who poured milk on the floor in supermarkets. It's, that doesn't solve anything. All that does mean that the amount of milk that they've spoilt by throwing it on the floor, the farts and everything that's come out the cow that they're protesting about has been completely wasted. Completely useless. So, yeah, don't get it. Ray, Kanye West. He's such a hunk. Look at him there. Looks like I don't know what's happened there. It's like he's been decorating his hallway or something. Kanye West taunts Adidas as he mocks companies dumping him. Kanye West has fired back at Adidas after the sportswear giant severed ties with him as he poked fun at the growing list of companies dumping him over his anti-Semitic hate speech. The rapper, now known as Ye, resumed posting to his 18.3 million followers late Wednesday, starting with a sniper at Adidas. He's like a child in a man's body, isn't he? It's really, really bad. Right, this is our friendly school shooter. Family asked cops. Now the family asked the cops to take guns from St. Louis gunman Orlando Harris days before the shooting. So the family were concerned. They raised the concerns with the police, told the police to take the guns, asked for police for help for removing the AR-15 style assault rifle from him 9 days before the rampage. But it somehow ended up back in his hands, police said. Oh yeah, did it? And now people are dead and injured because of that. Yeah. Kamala Harris is mocked for gushing over a yellow school bus. Someone said they really can't let her talk in public. Another brainless wonder is Kanye West. Yes, indeed. We're going back to him, don't we? Vice President Kamala Harris experienced a new round of mockery after touting the love of the yellow school buses during a Seattle appearance on Wednesday. She said 4 electric school buses to announce a nearly $1 billion being awarded to school districts to replace older buses with electric vehicles. And they're mocking her now for saying that she likes yellow buses. I can think of worse things that she could like. So, yeah, fair enough. California Sheriff's deputies arrest 12-year-old for allegedly threatening to shoot up a middle school. So a 12-year-old boy was arrested on Monday for allegedly threatening to shoot his middle school. Deputies responded to a suspicious circumstances call on Monday, and they were dealing with him, and several students have heard another saying that he was going to come in and shoot the school up. Why did the family not take control of the boy? I don't know. Maybe he's one of them that you just can't. We've all know people who've got family where there's someone who they can't actually control. Madame Tussauds in London pulls Kanye West figure in wake of his anti-Semitic remarks. Kanye West London wax double has fallen victim to his latest meltdown. The famous wax museum, Madame Tussauds London, is yanking a wax figure of West from their floor in the wake of the rapper's anti-Semitic remarks earlier this month. It's one of them things, isn't it? I think that's the right thing to do under the circumstances. But talking of Madame Tussauds, those oil protesters went in there and threw custard pies at the waxworks of the new king and queen consort. So Madame Tussauds is having a hell of a publicity thing at the moment. But yeah, Kanye West. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? No. Oregon police seize enough fentanyl to kill 4 million people from a passed out driver. 18 pounds of fentanyl pills, enough to kill 4 million people. You know, why are people actually putting these things in their bodies? If 18 pounds of that can kill, not make happy, 4 million people, why the hell would you put even a gram of that or a microgram of that inside your body? Again, I just don't understand it. I just don't understand why. I understand why people get involved with drugs. I get that, but I don't understand why you would go to something as dangerous as fentanyl just for the whatever it does for you. I just think that's not a good thing. It's not a good thing at all. What are we up to? Oh no, done that one. Yeah, I had gone too far. I've gone too far down. Where are we at now? That one. Right, this is a weird one. World's fastest shoe claims it'll make people walk 250% faster. What? You may walk 250% faster in these robotic engineered shoes. They're the world's fastest shoes that will make people easily walk at speeds topping out at 7 miles an hour. The battery powered shoes, kicks called moonwalkers, look like skates that can be strapped onto regular shoes, but they're reportedly powered by AI and an algorithm that allows users to walk normally without any hand control. Yeah, how many lawsuits are going to be coming from them, to them even, for people getting knocked over by people who can't control them, or people who have brought their ankle from them, or whatever. God knows. President Biden, the world's sanest man. I mean, he's not the world's most insane man, but he's up there. Pushes a Corvette to 118 miles per hour in a drag race against Colin Powell's son. President Biden is burning rubber away from the midterm campaign trail. The 79-year-old took his 1967 Corvette Stingray for a spin in an episode of CNBC's Jay Leno's Garage that aired on Wednesday. Biden's green convertible, featuring a 350 horsepower V8 engine and a 4-speed manual transmission, was no match for Powell's more powerful automatic Stingray, but he got to 118 miles an hour. Oh, the shoes, yeah, what if they break down? That's a good question. What if the batteries run out? That is a very, very good question indeed. We should be looking into that at some point in the future. So that's it for American news, but we've got some weird British news as well. Oh no, sorry. That's the one. 5.1 magnitude earthquakes hits California Bay Area. Now they've been waiting for the big earthquake to hit California, San Francisco, all that kind of thing. But they've had a 5.1 magnitude earthquake on Tuesday, 11:42 a.m., which means most people will be up and about. It was felt in San Francisco and far as Sacramento. It's not the worst earthquake they've ever had, certainly not the worst earthquake they've had in recent years, but it has been clocked as notable. and we just hope that it was a one-off, because even when the big one hits, it is going to be horrendous. Now this is Putin on a completely different planet than everyone else. Just when you thought he couldn't be more weird, he's more weird. He's having people baptize troops who've been killed already in Ukraine so he can claim that it is a holy war. He's also baptizing them before they go out as well now, so that they are God's army, or whatever he thinks it is. Now again, this could well be absolute garbage, and it could be propaganda from the West side, but looking at what Putin's been up to, you're like, this would not surprise me in the least if it was a genuine thing, and he genuinely thinks that people are going to say, oh well, it's a religious war. In that case, we support Putin, and let's get rid of all the West, shall we, and make Putin the ultimate leader of the world. God, I hope not. Anyway, God. Next week, I predict, for what a week that was, is hopefully going to be a little bit more, less political orientated, because I'm assuming that now we've got, like I say, a grown-up running Britain as the Prime Minister. I'm assuming that we are not going to have as much news. Now, I've done this before where I've shown you when I first started doing these news programmes, my bit of paper, a little booklet and everything. I'll get a big one for next year, and that's what I wrote for the first one. Desmond Tutu, Tony Blair, Prince Andrew getting off at a technicality, Boris doing nothing but regarding COVID, the Nevermind album cover guy, and statue tennis. I don't know what statue tennis is, but that's what I wrote last time when I first started doing these, and that's what I've wrote this time. That is what is going on now, and I'm hoping to get back to more normal stuff, because my notes are being absolutely mullered. Welcome back, Master Beef. You have been missed. Well, you might have been. So yeah, that is it for today. Seeing as Dave is back. There we go. See as Dave's back. We'll oh no. There we go. We shall leave you with a lovely picture of the new old Doctor Who. Spoiler, by the way. Sometimes it's good to have I was just playing games and more. Okay. As long as you weren't doing what the motorist was doing in America, which you missed. Obviously on your own. Where are we? Let's get out for him. No, I misses. Where's he gone? Where's he gone? Where's he gone? There it is. I was going the wrong way. As long as you weren't involved in anything untoward, that was fine. The more bit worries me, see. So anyway, yeah, we're at the end of the broadcast. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for interacting. It's been a decent chat tonight as well. I can neither confirm or deny. But yeah, it's been fun tonight. Don't forget, if you haven't already subscribed, subscribe. Check out various playlists. This is also available as a podcast. More people listen to it as a podcast than watch it when I do it, which is a bit weird because it's more of a visual thing. But anyway, it is greatly appreciated. And yeah, if you've enjoyed it, don't forget to give us a like. And all being well, I will see you again next week for hopefully a quieter what a week that was. Although I might have some personal stuff to chuck in as well, although I'm doing that on my personal vlog, which I do every Sunday. So yeah, lots going on the channel. It's I always say it's a very bizarre channel, this. So we've done just short of 2 hours on the news in my unique style. We've had a chat about things. We've discussed everything from Doctor Who to what else have we discussed? Well, everything. I mean, there's nothing we haven't discussed. It's been one of them, hasn't it? I need to get rid of that picture in case someone pops in and like, what the hell's he showing a picture of that for? Because that's how we do it now. Yeah, I don't want to be showing that. No, 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 no. So I'll put that up instead. There you go. So yeah, it's been fun. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Like I say, it's been good to chat. So big shout out to. I don't watch TV or movies. NE, who was very brief actually. JT and Rachel, stay green, stay safe. No, stay green, stay in the woods. Smiley Mac, Boris Johnson, who actually popped in, but he's got nothing else on at the moment. Angela, Master Beef, Reese, yeah, oh, I will be doing a live stream for Halloween where I'm playing horror games, and I've got my makeup sorted out and everything for that. So we will start doing that. The only problem I have with doing TV movie reviews is you have to clip things to refer to what you're on about, and I don't want to clip things and then get a copyright strike and lose the channel when I built it up to this. So. Plus I don't watch a lot of TV. I mention it in passing occasionally. I say I don't watch a lot of TV. I do watch a lot of TV. But I don't watch a lot of TV that people would be interested in. You know, I like Abandoned Engineering and Meet the Richardsons and stuff like that. And Gogglebox and other nonsense that's on TV. I don't watch like Peaky Blinders or Out. Although we did discuss Doctor Who. And I'd have to make notes, but again, you'd have to show clips, and I don't know if you can show clips or not because it's copyrighted. So yeah, it's kind of petered out into this now. I don't even know what this is anymore. What are we doing? What are we doing now? Hey. So yeah, thanks very much for watching. Indeed, you still are. Hi to Toff as well if you're around. Hope you're good. And I pressed the wrong button. Oh no! Oh blinking heck! Press the wrong button. Meet the Richards is a top tier. It's generally baffling how many people don't know it's satire though. Yeah, I mean the thing is with Meet the Richardsons and the satire, it's filmed as a documentary, isn't it? So it's filmed as a documentary, and it's done like that. I mean, my travel videos that I've done, I don't know if you've watched any of them, Master Beef, from Let's Explore, Let's Walk Round, Let's Visit, Let's Go To. All them series are all spoof, and I'm obviously talking absolute garbage when I'm in a town or whatever, going on about, you know, the Welshies and all that kind of stuff, being small, so they have to have small houses to live in, otherwise they feel like they're too big. I mean, it's absolute twaddle. Or, you know, this building, which is obviously dated 1512, was built yesterday afternoon at 12 minutes past 3, and people think it's serious. So I don't get it. Yeah, I've seen all this series, to be fair. I did see the David Tennant episode, but I did like him when he did that thing during lockdown. I thought that was brilliant. I can't remember what it's called now. But yeah, I thought that was really good as well. I mean, you know, Tennant is a very good actor who can do things like Doctor Who, but he can also go in and do like Macbeth and all that kind of stuff as well. A lot of pumpkins appearing on my street. So, if there's anything wrong with that, that's fine. But yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna. Your humour is so good because 99% of the people don't get it's a joke. Yeah, exactly. I don't have canned laughter. what I often do is I'll say something like, you know, this building here is black and white because it was built that long ago, colour hadn't been invented, and then I'll look at the camera and go, kind of thing, as if to say, you know, that's absolute rubbish. But yeah, people take it so seriously. How dare you slag off my town? How dare you say that? I think you'll find actually that the building was built in 1512 and was the first building in the town that incorporated running water and all that kind of garbage I get. And I'm like, no. It's a joke. But that's now at the beginning of them on the Let's Go To, which I haven't done many of because I haven't had the money to travel to go to these places. I do like a 2 minute, 1.5, 2 minute real history of the town, so they know that I know what I'm talking about, and then I'll slag it off for the rest of the video. So yeah, I'll do like a, you know, I did, where was it? I don't know, Wakefield or Wakefield. Actually, I did Wakefield, and I refer to it as Wakefield all the time. Yeah, to take the mickey out of it. And then when I come back here and I do the history of it, actually used to be called Wakefield, and that's how they pronounced it. So I was actually pronouncing it in the oldie days way, although I was trying to take the mickey by pronouncing it wrong. But saying Wakefield is pronouncing it wrong, you should say Wakefield. So yeah, anyway, we digress terribly. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, everybody. Like I said before, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hopefully we'll see you all again in a week's time. I've got so much stuff to say about the history of Wigan that is absolute BS. You will not believe it. And I'd like to say I haven't had the time to do it, but obviously that's a lie. I have had the time to do it, but I've just not got around to it. And you've reminded me on that. So I'm gonna have to do that next few days when it's nice. I'm gonna be going around doing the true history of Wigan, but true will have little things around it, like true history of Wigan, and take the absolute mick. For example, did you know that mining was not the first thing in Wigan? To be fair, it wasn't. The first thing in Wigan was the springs, which is why there's a lot of places called Springs, Springview, New Springs, because the springs were thought to be beneficial in the oldie days, for health and things like that, but it didn't take off like Buxton and other places and Bath, but that's why the Romans came here, for the springs. So yeah, but obviously I'm not going to mention any of that. Anyway, you take care, and I will see you all again. So yeah, look after yourselves, stay safe, don't do anything daft, and yeah, we'll see you again next week to see what a week that was. Until then,